Welcome to Beacon of Creation, a weekly podcast on game design through the lens of Magic the Gathering. I'm Tim.
I'm Juliet.
We got another one of our monthly design challenges to talk through this week. And as always, this involves getting a whole bunch of challenge submissions from all of you and then kind of talking through them, our ideas, our interpretation of the card, how fun we think the card is, all that kind of stuff.
So this month's challenge was December the Titans. Design a creature with an enters and attacks trigger. And then we had some optional bonus points for these, which were Remember the Titans. Your card features reminder text. And Titan. The card name begins with SN, like SN, capital S, lowercase n.
We have seen enters triggers in the last 10 years of Magic or whatever really become a main part of how we do an effect that gives players a thing, but doesn't necessarily give them a lot of onboard tracking or, activated costs or stuff to look at during attacks or blocks.
Mm-hmm.
But enters or attacks is kind of another level beyond that. An enters or attacks trigger sort of has a hard time being bad. Just the value you get from some ability happening every turn that you attack with this big creature makes it so that any kind of effect is good.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm really curious, if we see different rarities or if we see different kinds of abilities, downsides, all those kinds of things. What are people going to try to do to make enters or attacks, I don't know, even bigger part of our design toolkit?
And this challenge, I think, is in some ways intentionally open-ended.
Yeah.
I could have set up either in the challenge or in the bonus points, make it a 6/6, make it a giant, give it escape, make it a new color combination we haven't seen a Titan in before. And I am curious to see if and when we will see those things, but the kind of the principle of a ETB and a attack, of the kind of Titan idea that you can be a Mole Drifter and a Baneslayer together. That you have value once the card gets onto the board to begin with, and you have value the longer it can stay on the board. That opens up some of those spaces. And reminder text isn't that difficult to fit in, but I do think it's a fun, weird little thing that makes you go, okay, I should add some extra greebles for that.
Yeah, push the boundaries on an ability, or I guess we'll see. I'm curious what we see for reminder text.
Sure. What's our first submission?
Our first submission is from VT Basemat, and it's called Snarling Titan. 4 and 2 hybrid Gruul mana. So 6 mana for a creature Beast Giant. It's a 6/6. 6 mana 6/6 with trample. Whenever this creature enters or attacks until end of turn, creatures you control have Riot. They enter with your choice of a +1/+1 counter or haste.
This is a mana cost I think of sometimes as Morsel Hoarder.
Okay. Is that another Shadowmoor banger?
Yeah, it's a Shadowmoor common that it's doing some stuff with -1/-1 counters and turning them into mana and stuff.
Okay.
So we have our Titan here. It's a Beast Giant. It's a 6/6 trample for 6. And I'm pretty sure that the Riot doesn't apply to itself.
That seems correct, because it won't have Riot until for the creature itself. So can you give this one haste? Can you give the Snarling Titan itself the +1/+1 counter? So this creature enters, triggers its enters or attacks ability, then gains Riot, but it has already entered the battlefield, so it doesn't see itself enter currently. I was noticing the same thing, and maybe other creatures you control have Riot would be a solution to that.
And then just give it Riot in its
complex,
trample, Riot or something like that.
Yeah, we've seen versions of that where it's redundant, like a blue creature that has flying and says other creatures you control have flying. It's well, you could just say creatures you control have flying, and you don't need the extra flying on there. Here, because Riot is related to entering the battlefield, it actually would be kind of nice to duplicate, to give it Riot on its own, and then give it this enters or attacks that gives Riot.
It is also curious that so I can attack with this, and then for the rest of my turn, the creatures that I cast can either have after combat, my second main phase, they can either gain haste or +1/+1 counter. And I mean, haste can matter if you are doing a variety of different like
Tap
combo
ability.
shenanigans. Oh yeah, tap abilities, things like that. But for the most part, I think this is other creatures you cast get enter with an additional +1/+1 counter.
Yeah. It's funny, like, because there are different things. Okay, well, I cast this and cast another creature. Well, this creature costs 6 mana, so you're already using a lot of your mana that you could have used to riot out some creatures. So you're kind of unlikely to like play this, on turn 7 or whatever, and then play another meaningful creature. And so it's the attack trigger that you're really getting paid for. I don't know. This almost feels like a gotcha kind of card. Like you read this and you're like, oh, Riot rules, like Rhythm of the Wild. What a classic enchantment. And then you read this card, you're like, wait a second, this this doesn't do most of what I want to do with it. It doesn't give itself things, and also it doesn't give other things haste and time. If this worked the way that you wanted it to, it could give itself haste, all those other kinds of pieces. This would feel like a core set rare or something like that, like a pretty potent card. Like a hasty 6/6 is like quite a fearsome creature, especially with some upside. But because Riot and this Titan trigger don't work very well together, this like knocks down to an uncommon for me just because of its limited applications, I guess.
Yeah. I wonder if this wasn't a reminder text challenge, if there'd be another way of setting this up where it just kind of spells out the ability on the card somewhere. Our next submission is from James Dalton Bell. It's Snare Pack Ambushers. It's 1/4 for 3 and a green. It's a creature spider at common with Flash, Reach, and whenever this creature enters or attacks, target creature gets +1/+1 until end of turn. Untap it. With flavor text, the snare pack hunts together.
So we got a Flash spider. It's 1/4, which is usually a little small for a spider, but it secretly can be a 2/5. So as it enters trigger, it's sort of either like untap my other blocker and like we're doing a crazy ambush, or I'm gonna, jump in and ambush as a 2/5. Both of those are good. Those are both powerful cards. And then when it attacks, it kind of turns into a different ability, which is like I can attack as sort of like a 2/5 vigilance, or I can attack as a 1/4 and give someone else sort of fake vigilance, which is also good.
I like the 1/4 can be a 2/5 on the flash block, but also you can do like additional combat trick stuff where you put this out as the 1/4 and then make one of your other creatures a +1/+1 on the enter so that you can potentially get like 2 trades out of it or something like that.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Okay, so you flash this in, untap and boost another creature and block with this. And your opponent can be definitely taken in by your sneaky 3 and a green mana. I like this especially because I don't think I or most people would read this card and go, "Oh, this is a Titan." It isn't. It's using the Titan trigger in an interesting way, but because of the flash spidery nature, because of this kind of like green combat trick sort of space, I don't think of Titans as combat tricks. Like that's a
Yeah. I think that Titans kind of historically are like, I'm slamming down this cool thing on my turn, and if I untap again, it's over for you. This is more like I get to pick the perfect spot to deploy my ambushers, my spider here, and I'm really tricky with it.
Yeah. This also makes the SNA opening seem just like, sure, this is a normal name. I would not, I think sometimes we get our first submission or whatever, and then you try to figure out what the challenge is, like working backwards from the
You'd have no
submission.
chance.
Yeah. Interesting. Is it use keywords? Yeah. Of course, we have the reminder text for Flash and Reach here. This is a fun tricky common that
Yeah.
still seems pretty fair. And once you get got by snare pack ambushers in limited, I think as like a early, a core set limited sort of casual player, you're like, oh, okay, I can remember. I'm developing memories of how flash creatures and surprise blockers work.
I I would probably say that if you are putting this in the same set that you're putting reminder text for reach, that this is maybe more of an uncommon than a common.
Sure.
Any beginner player, even if they know their opponent has the ambushers in hand, they're
Hmm.
probably still unlikely to be able to play around it. It's actually like quite powerful at what it does.
Hmm.
Like it's even good, like you could flash it in after you've attacked with your other creature as just like a +1/+1 to win a combat. It's so versatile and has like kind of two different abilities when it enters or attacks. Like that feels a little closer to uncommon in terms of its power, which is cool. Like, hey, this is a classic James card of just a super robust limited card that you'd always want to cast. Like that's sort of the wheelhouse. And he did it again, I guess.
The fact that this has like ongoing effects onto the battlefield in addition to the
Yeah.
kind of flash nature and everything, I think also would bump it out of common from like a classical perspective. I'm gonna be honest, in 2026, I'm not sure I know what a common is anymore. I
Yeah.
which is like I don't mean to say that as like a broad commentary
Yeah.
statement. I mean
Yeah.
maybe a little
Yeah.
bit, but I don't know that I know what necessarily is a common.
Yeah, like part of it is power level, like rares get to be stronger than commons. But the other piece I'm trying to think of now with commons, because with play booster style stuff, there are fewer commons per set. You're going to hit those commons a lot more often. The commons that you put in there, especially like the 2, 3, 4 drop creatures, are cards that you're meant to play all the time and that contribute a lot to the vibe of the limited format.
Mhm.
If for some reason it's like important for your set that flash is a thing or spiders are a thing, or if there's some reason why combat tricks are really cool with the other mechanics in your set or whatever, this is like a cool common. But as a card to like spice up limited, to give Gruul some like defense, or like to be able to like there's a potent flyers deck, so we want weapons against that. That's where it's more of like some seasoning that you put into uncommon to like make it so that
Mhm.
Gruul decks are not totally predictable.
Yeah, I think that makes a lot of sense. Thanks for the submission.
All right, next up we got Crypt Rat with Snack Wick's Conscience. So Wick is a Bloomborough rat, I think, who loves snails. And the art here says depicted as a glowing snail sitting on Wick's shoulder. All right, so we got Snack Wick's Conscience, which is a black mana for a 1/1 legendary creature, snail familiar at uncommon. When Snack enters, attacks, or dies, surveil 1. Snack gets +0/+X, where X is the number of creature cards in your graveyard. Wow.
Hmm. So you got a little 1/1. Definitely would want this in lots of different decks for just, hey, this Stitcher supplier is kind of
Yeah,
into
Stitcher Supplier. Yep.
the grave, while also giving you some real like top of your library manipulation as far
Yeah.
as
Yeah.
even just enter surveil 1. That makes a difference on turn 1.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
And then trying to get the creatures in the graveyard. I love this like flavor design.
Hmm.
Wick and the like the snail obsessed rat sort of archetype thing, I think is kind of fun. And then being like, oh, and then we're gonna zoom the camera, we're gonna crop the camera like really tightly onto the shoulder and be like, that's also a magic card. That's a fun thing.
Yeah. Yeah. Wick, the original card, also cares about sacrificing snails, so that's kind of another sort of reason why this card works the way that it does. It has a death trigger because, Wick is just as likely to befriend a snail as it is to eat a snail, I guess.
Hmm.
The second ability also seems pretty good. Plus toughness equal the number of creature cards in your graveyard. That could easily be 2 or 3 or 4, so good blocker.
It's funny because like, okay, it's adding something based on the creature cards in your graveyard. It's like great, simple thumbs up that makes sense in Black's color pie.
Hmm.
And like, oh, it's making this bigger and bigger toughness while keeping the power. This the same. It's like, oh,
Hmm.
snail getting a bigger and bigger shell, but still being
Oh,
ultimately
yeah.
a snail. I don't know that I 100% go, yes, super big toughness with 1 power. What I always think about for mono black creatures
Yeah. Yeah.
is this, but that I think is something interesting about black as a color, that
Yeah.
it depends on the set in many ways, whether black
Mhm,
is
mhm.
a particularly aggressive color or particularly controlling color, and obviously there's, like, gradients and variances within those things. But that's, in this space, I'd be like, "Okay, is this something that we're doing in this, like, limited set, or is this more of
Mm.
a, um, like, here's a fun 1 drop to play in your commander deck?" Like, is it kind of focused in that sort of space?
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, I agree. The kind of scaling toughness, I would have probably put that in green first or white,
Mhm.
maybe even blue before I would think black. But maybe it's just, we want an extra ability on snack here. We think it's kind of fun to, we need extra toughness to hit our late game with our late game rat deck.
Mhm.
So that's where that comes from.
I could conceive of this card being somehow blue-black, but I do think keeping it 1 mana also probably makes
Is kind of the point,
makes
yeah.
sense. How do you feel about enters, attacks, or dies?
Yeah, the new frontier. I was thinking about that too when I was first reading it. The Titan trigger of enters or attacks, that's not that's 2020 magic. We're going for 2030 magic of no matter what, you are doing this ability. Enter, attack, or die.
I definitely think it qualifies for this challenge, right? Like, that
Yeah, yeah,
is an enters and attacks trigger.
sure.
Surveil 1 is kind of the perfect like, it's kind of the perfect thing to be doing for that,
Yeah,
because it's something that you kind of want, and it's definitely nice to have that spread out a little bit. I think
yeah,
Surveil 1 across 3 different turns is slightly better than a Surveil 3 at once, even though there's not that big of a difference there.
yeah,
And it is kind of worth a card in some senses, and it's definitely not a full card in others, so that we can keep giving this little accrual. I don't know. This is a really neat complete package, and how the different parts of it fit together are all both new and fun.
yeah. The enters surveil on turn one. That's really just, oh, I kept this two lander. I kind of want to hit my third land, but almost anything else, it doesn't matter what I see on top. Like, and then attacks. So this is probably a chump attack because it's a 1/1. So I'm gonna attack. I'm digging. I attack. I am binning anything but what's gonna save me in this game. It gets blocked. It dies. I'm gonna bin anything that I don't like. The usefulness of the surveil kind of changes over the course of the different times where you trigger it.
I play a snack turn 1, and I surveil a creature card into the graveyard because I'm like, I really want
Oh
these
yeah.
creature cards in the graveyard. Next turn, I attack. And it's like, oh, it's a 1/2. It's easier to attack the bigger the toughness is, even if it's just going to be a chump attack.
Hmm.
And then I play a second snack so that the first one dies, the
Hmm.
second one enters, and I've been really lucky. Or I'm playing a kind of like a oops all spells, oops all creatures sort of thing. And I've surveilled 4 creature cards just straight from the top of my library into my graveyard. Turn 2, by the end of turn 2, I have a 1/5.
There you go.
1/6? A 1/6 because the snack died. Yeah, I turn 2
Funny.
1/6.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I guess they're good in multiples somehow as a one mana legend.
Yeah.
That's funny.
Our next submission is from Auxiliary Otter. It's Snugglepaw. It's 1 and a white for a 0/1 creature cat beast at uncommon.
0/1.
It has mutate for 1 white and a white,
Hmm.
and whenever this creature mutates or attacks, create a 2/2 white cat beast creature token. And I'm going to read the reminder text for mutate. We've had reminder text on all of our submissions so far. I'm going to read it for mutate. which is, so for 1 white and a white, if you cast this spell for its mutate cost, put it over or under target non-human creature you own. They mutate into the creature on top, plus all abilities from under it. Which is, of course, mutate from Ikoria, but I do think there will be listeners who have both played and not played Ikoria, and for both of them, a brief reminder on mutate is worthwhile.
Yeah. Part of the gist on mutate is that you are combining the abilities of two creatures, but you pick which of the power and toughnesses you want to use. In bigger mutate creatures, it's more of a choice where it might be like a 4/4. Is a 4/4 better than my other creature? Oh, maybe it is. Here it's a 0/1, so you're really likely to put the Snugglepaw under the other creature. And in that way, it's sort of an aura, kind of an aura that grants when this creature attacks, it could get a 2/2. And I guess you also get a 2/2 when you mutate, because this is funny. It's whenever this creature mutates or attacks. It's not enters or attacks. So I don't really want to play this raw. But I guess if I do, like, it's still a 0/1 that when it attacks, I get a 2/2. I paid 2 mana for it. I haven't been completely robbed.
And if your opponent just happens to not have any creatures at all, you can just keep attacking with your 0/1 and get enough 2/2s. But I think you will often want to play this 1 white and a white, mutating onto a creature, make a 2/2, and then have the creature that you already had on the battlefield, your 1-drop or your 2-drop or anything that you're mutating onto, have that creature then attack. And now for 3 white mana, you've made 2 2/2s already with a like threat of making more on, any successive turns.
Yeah, a really solid thing to do is to put this on like a 1 or 2 mana flyer.
Yeah. I like how simple this is despite the mutate components.
Yeah, I can't think of many similar cards to this. Like, I guess if you had an aura, I can't think of one like this, but if you had an aura that just said, when this creature attacks, create a 2/2. I can't think of, high novelty.
I suppose, in a way, is it Invocation of Saint Traft?
Oh.
the aura that comes to mind. But that angel does not stick around. That's
the temporary 4/4 flying attacker. Yeah, it's a little bit like that. But yeah, the purpose of this is more, or at least to me, it's more generate a bunch of ground creatures to give me like blocking superiority. I think all the different modes of this, whenever you have like a mutate or whatever, like what if I play it by itself? What if I play it on this kind of thing or that kind of thing? So it's not like a false choice kind of card. So very good overall.
Yeah. Yeah. Love the name. This is a weird cat beast. Are these...
it's a cat beast too.
Are they displacer cats? Is that the name for...
Yeah. This displacer beast, which, they have these like tentacles on their back that have like, I don't know, little sticker spinies on them. Yeah.
It's kind of funny that if this was a 1/1, then I'd be like, okay, but I want to keep attacking in with it. So I'm going to like hold off on attacking because I want to keep getting value. But as a 0/1, if I'm playing this, once I get the first cat and this dies in combat, I'm like, okay, yeah, there's no way I'm expecting to get multiple attacks out of it if I'm casting it as a 0/1 onto the battlefield. So there's kind of a fun sleight of hand there to make it feel less bad when your Snugglepaw dies.
Yeah, good card.
Well, Tim, I hope you're in the holiday spirit for this next one.
We got a submission from Andrew, who was on the last challenge review. Thanks, Andrew, for pinch hitting for me. They've submitted Snickerdoodle Titan. Snickerdoodle, a kind of cookie.
Yeah, one of my favorite types of cookie. I don't stand for sugar cookies like in general, but a Snickerdoodle is essentially a sugar cookie dough, but then you make the dough into like little spheres and then you roll those in cinnamon sugar before cooking. And I think cinnamon is, that really helps the whole deal.
All right, so Snickerdoodle Titan here is 3 snow. So you have to pay 3 mana and 2 snow mana from snow sources. For a creature elemental giant, it's a 4/4. It has a couple abilities on here. So it has Devour 2, which is a old Alara ability where as this enters, you can sacrifice creatures to make this bigger. So you can make this a 6/6 or an 8/8 if you're willing to eat a couple other creatures. Whenever Snickerdoodle Titan enters or attacks, if you're eating, create a food token. If you use food to represent those tokens, make that many tokens +1. And then it has some reminder text here. Gum isn't food. We checked.
Mhm.
And then
Mhm.
whenever you sacrifice a food, if it's a token represented by food and you eat it, gain 3 life. All right. So the last ability there kind of gives you double strength food.
Yeah. If it's a token represented by food.
Yeah. So I get 3 life for, activating food tokens in general. But then this says if when you sacrifice a food, if it was like a cookie, then you also
Mhm.
gain 3 extra life. So you gain 6 life. You have double strength snickerdoodles. I guess that's what you are arguing is that snickerdoodles are twice as good as a regular cookie.
And I know it is Snickerdoodle Titan, but I'm imagining in practice probably playing this with like a thing of French fries, maybe.
Yeah.
That way you can be eating and still have enough of them
Yeah,
left
yeah.
over.
Gumdrops or something. What's a holiday thing that you
And yeah,
you can eat little
I
bits
guess
of?
you could do like a gingerbread cookie, which we made recently, and
Mm.
gingerbread cookies so good. Anyways, and you bite off, like half of an arm or whatever, and then
Mm.
you break off a leg, and then you're like, hey, this is a food token, and then here's, you're doing more things. I remember the gum isn't food ruling from something silver bordered, but I could not tell
Yeah,
you
yeah.
which card. Uh, I'll check the is funny tag on. Okay, not this, not this. Almost there. Oh, well, the actual text for the precedent for this is the card, quote, fat ass
Uh,
from Unhinged.
yeah.
Creature donkey shaman. This creature gets +2/+2 and has trample as long as you're eating. And the Scryfall text says, "Gum isn't food. We checked." Not the printed card, but I do think they later, at some point, Mark Rosewater, the rules manager.
Mm.
Anyways, um, so enters or attacks. You've got to be eating during both. That's that's fun and easy. You're making food. You're representing food with the food that you're representing the mechanical construct of food using some also elements of food that you have. I think
Mm.
gumdrops are a good idea. You can eat a gumdrop for half of a game of Magic or more, and they're particularly hardy, so you could have them onto the battlefield and potentially use them without too much worry. So you're making extra food. The one thing that I wish this had was like that it could devour food, so you could play a Titan into another Titan or
Mm.
something. It's fine that it doesn't. It, the devour is funny that it can't eat food. It only eats creatures.
Hmm. The creatures are the
Um,
raw materials that it's then going to use to make cookies.
yeah, you can make a 6/6 for
Yeah.
3 snow snow. The way this scales food. I mean, this is a holiday card.
Yeah.
It doesn't have to be played. That's part of like holiday promo cards. But every time you would make a food, you make two. And so this enters make two food,
Yeah.
and each food is worth 6 life.
Mm.
And each time you attack, you also make another two food, and each of those foods are also worth 6 life. The
Hmm.
life gain scales quite dramatically if you're in like a normal game of Magic. That's a life pool that your opponent might not be able to reach. But then again, maybe spending 4 mana each turn cycle to gain 6 life is to gain 12
Yeah.
life. Yeah,
Yeah.
4 mana, 12 life. Yeah, 4 mana, 12. I don't know that. I'm going across the board and being like, yeah, my opponent gains 12 life each turn. I feel great about my chances.
Finally, we're pushing holiday cards. They've been too weak for too long.
Yeah. Snickerdoodle is something that I was like, well, that is one of the like words that comes to mind immediately for
Yeah,
things that
yeah.
start with our tin prefix.
We're taking the food text further with with the Titan here. You really need to you got to bring all of your supplies to the game if you're expecting to cast this.
It also, I'm going to recommend listeners go back and check out our favorite flavor episode on food cards
Yeah.
with the question here of like, hey, this card itself isn't food.
Hmm.
Maybe the art would be like a giant baker with like a
Mm.
cornucopia that, or like a big present sack, but it's like full of little pastries and cookies and things that are spilling out everywhere or something. But I hear Snickerdoodle Titan, I'm like, oh, like a big cookie giant. But this giant isn't cookie, so this must be the spirit of Snickerdoodles and not a Snickerdoodle themselves. Because they're not food.
Yeah. Cool card. Thank you for the submission.
Our next submission is from Eint. It's Snow Stalwart Protector. For 1 green and a white, that's a 2/3 legendary creature human warrior at rare. Snow has Vigilance and Trample, and whenever Snow enters or attacks, bolster 2. Put a
Mm.
shield counter on that creature. Reminder text, of course, choose a creature with the least toughness among creatures you control and put 2+1/+1 counters on it. I believe, a is it a Tarka? No, not a Tarka. The green-white one
Mm. Yeah.
from Dragons of
All right.
Tarkir.
Can you do
Okay.
it?
Silumgar is blue-black, Kolaghan is black-red, Atarka is red-green, and Ojutai is white-blue.
Has a giant jaw.
The ones that, like, breathe, like, sunlight, they've got, like, a light
Yeah.
thing,
Yeah.
and they got big scales,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm going to be so embarrassed that the one that I need here is the one that I have the least memory
Mm.
of the name of. Uh, Dromoka?
There you go. There you go.
Yeah, this is the Dromoka faction mechanic, I believe.
Yeah.
Bolster, because it's like the big dragon scales.
Yeah. Happy to get some reminder text for bolster.
Yeah. And it has partner fighters forever and a link to the kind of partner submission. I believe these were tabletop characters in
Oh,
one of Eint's like tabletop games that making different like here's different like partner commanders for like
okay.
based on the player characters and stuff, which is
Ah.
very exciting. I'll very briefly read Shikaken Stoic Brawler, 2 green and a blue, legendary creature, human orc warrior at Mythic. It's a 4/4 with also partners, fighters forever, and godlike businessman. Whenever a counter is removed from a creature you control, create a tapped treasure token.
Hmm.
Which, hey, that could fit together with Snow shield counters, which shield counters are a counter that do kind of leave on their own.
There you go. Yeah. Snow is, I would say, quite a potent card.
Mm-hmm.
The first impression, I guess, sometimes is limited. Like, hey, I just have
Mm-hmm.
this card in the middle of nowhere and I cast it. What happens? I get a 3 mana 4/5 Vigilance Trample with a shield counter on it.
That grows and
That grows
grows.
even more. Yeah.
That's what a doozy.
Yeah. So maybe I'm expecting that this is a commander only kind of card. Like, I don't know, like the Sony PlayStation cards that came out. Cards that you can only regard as sort of like, I guess, cube or commander.
Mhm. I kind of don't want to cast any creatures before Snow. I mean, maybe what I want to do is cast great creatures and,
Yeah.
have my opponent have to choose. But I think just play this card out and then keep getting bigger and keep adding more shield counters and just like,
Yeah.
listen, you need to double up your removal spells and have them not be based on like toughness based removal or anything.
Yeah.
Or put a narcolepsy, I suppose, or
Yeah. Yeah.
something like
Exile
that.
it. Yeah. Has trample, which is even nicer. So chump blocking isn't even really an option.
Put one of the like haste granting equipments, like a lightning
There you go.
cruiser or something. Or
Hmm.
there's
All
a
right.
more recent one, right? From Thunder Junction, maybe that
Yeah,
doesn't
lava
give.
spur.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm sure there's, and that way you can enter and attack. So it
Yeah.
goes 4/5. It's a 6/7 double shield counter if you can enter and attack.
Yeah. 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 So I guess opening it up to probably its intended location, which is a commander game. There's twice as much life to chip away at, so the size isn't quite as big a problem. I would say it's still like pretty resistant to board wipey stuff, so people could single target kill it if they really wanted to, but do they want to really do that in Commander? So I think it still gets to do its thing of being like a kind of big board presency cheap commander,
Yeah.
but maybe not out of control like it would be in one on one. Yeah, we were just kind of blown away by the one-on-one read on this that is distracting us, or distracting me at least, from its intended purpose.
Mhm. I suppose if you want to specifically make sure that your shield counters are being removed, then
Hmm.
maybe you spread the wealth out across
Yeah, yeah,
more creatures and that sort of thing, and that way you can ensure that the because if I just have a very large creature, I think like it's just getting chump blocked rather than um I also think I might want a shield counter reminder on
Oh,
there, because I was
yeah,
like, wait a minute, is shield counter isn't Umbra armor. Shield counter is dealt damage or destroyed.
yeah,
Remove a shield counter. So that's easier to remove even if it's chumble. That makes
yeah.
sense.
I guess if you're choosing, which mechanic do I provide reminder text for? You're like, oh, I can only spare one. Maybe bolster is your choice, but yeah, getting a little shield counter reminder might not be too bad. Maybe this is also like a board wipe commander where I just play this. I build up 2 or 3 shield counters. I just board wipe the board over and over and commander damage people. I just go Voltron and board wipe.
Yeah. I mean, Voltron, board white, green white, all together, I think you can having like a 3 mana and a 4 mana
Hmm.
commander as partners, I think makes more intuitive sense than 2 4 mana commanders. But I do think this is a lot of my like worries about how scary this can get quickly are assuaged some by making this a 4 mana card.
Hmm.
But yeah, that would be my kind of um my first pass design note.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Cool card. People would want to play it.
Yeah.
Very green white, and that like it's just huge, and it's protects itself and all that kind of stuff. Protects other creatures as well.
Mhm. And a neat fit that this character that you're already working with has a name that starts with SN. So
Oh,
here
there you go.
this fits with this other this project well. Got the reminder text.
Great submission. Thank you. Next up from Plumtree Chloe opens it with let's be glad I didn't call it Snoverlord. The
Mhm.
card here is Overlord of Calamity. 3 black black for a 4/4. Enchantment creature avatar horror. It has impending 3 for 2 black black, so 1 less than its normal cost. Impending is from Dustborn, and it enters with a couple counters, but it isn't a creature until those counters are gone. So you can either pay 5 mana to get this right away, or you can pay 4 mana to get this creature's effect, but not the body until 3 turns from now. And in this case, you actually might want to impend it because you get a little more value potentially. When Overlord of Calamity enters or attacks, each player sacrifices a creature. If you've got no creatures on the board, your opponent has a creature, and you just cast this as a creature, you have to sack it to itself. But if you
Mhm.
impend it, you get to just make your opponent sacrifice, and then a couple turns you get a free evil buddy.
And then hopefully you've got some other creatures to sacrifice.
Hmm.
Otherwise, you're
Yeah.
I what a fun trigger though. Enters or attacks, each player sacrifices a creature so that hey, I can make you sacrifice an extra creature, but I'm not really going to be dealing damage to you unless I also have creatures to sacrifice. That's a fun bring back the classic big black demon. What is it? Lord of the Pit, I think is the
Okay.
earliest one that comes to mind, where it says, hey, pay this mana or frequently sacrifice this creature, otherwise tap. Sacrifice another creature, otherwise tap this big mono black demon
Yeah.
sort of idea. And this is like, hey, no, you can totally attack, but like have these other things, otherwise you're never going to be dealing damage to your opponent with the 4/4 body.
Yeah. I I would say that everybody sacks a creature is one of my most disliked commander mechanics.
Hmm.
They are like really good at just like making sure no one else is having fun or making sure two of your three opponents are not having fun. I guess one-on-one, that's where this is more of like, this grindy build around kind of cool thing that your opponent has some play against. But the amount of collateral damage dealt by Merciless Executioner or Fleshbag Marauder is just way too high. I'm super out on it. There's so many decks that like get way better if you have 5 of those, but they're all decks that like just annoy the crap out of me.
Is it Barter and Blood that is each player sacrifices 2 creatures?
Somehow that is, at least there you mean it. You're like, everyone is losing a bunch of their creatures. The flashbag thing is just like, I'm going to recur this every turn, and the
Right.
person just playing their humble commander deck where they want their commander in play just can't play anymore.
Yeah.
uh, that's a little bit of a rant, but and maybe is not even what this card is about. This card is maybe more about the one-on-one play.
But I think like a worthwhile,
Yeah,
these are considerations to be taken when not all commander cards need to be evaluated through the lens of limited,
yeah,
but
yeah.
almost all limited cards
Mm,
should have some notion of how they might impact commander. I
yeah,
think is
yeah,
maybe a statement I would make, unless you're specifically existing within like a subset like Jumpstart or subset like Alchemy situation where you
yeah,
don't have
yeah,
to worry about it.
yeah, yeah. As just a 4 mana opponent sacks a creature, that's not typically going to be that strong in limited or even in standard. Like, I'm not too
Mhm.
worried about that effect there. If this is a appealing card, people will want to do this. You build toward it. You can imagine the black deck or the black green deck or whatever, the black white deck that this card fits in.
How would you feel if it was impending for 3 mana instead of 4 mana? Or put another way, how do you feel about stuff like impending costs or, to an extent suspend and that sort of thing, but especially an impending cost. So if it was impending for 3 for 3,
Yeah,
then you can attack in with this on your turn 6 if you cast it. If you've got
yeah,
enough mana.
yeah,
And it being a 5 mana 4/4, you could attack in with this on your turn 6, casting normally.
yeah.
Currently, if you cast it for the discount, you get the enters sooner, but you do wait an extra turn before this can start like
Mm,
swinging in each
mm.
turn. And so I guess a question I would have is, do you like it when there is a time, like, because there's always going to be a time cost where like, hey, sometimes you're going to draw this later on, and then
Okay,
I,
yeah.
I would like to pay the full amount. But if you could pay 3 for this and then have it attack in on the same turn that paying the full cost would have it
Mm,
attack in, do you think that like that opportunity cost is fair, or is it like, but you're not
yeah.
always going to cast it on turn 3, so you don't have to worry about comparing those two kind of
Hmm.
net result modes?
I think that's like especially true in other impending cards where the cost being really similar puts it in like a weird zone of like, why do I have impending on it? I think
Hmm.
impending here is also a gimmick with its ability.
Hmm.
The impending cost being one off the mana cost is fine by me.
Mhm.
But yeah, maybe you are like, if I cast this for 4, my opponent sacks a creature, and then like a million years from now, I get to play with this card. If it's 3 mana, then I get to do that all the time. That saves me even from kind of aggressive decks, and it goes online soon enough to also matter against an aggressive deck. So maybe at 3 mana, it's like more of a standard card. Yeah,
Mhm.
because it's more reliable.
We're often happy to have the second half of a removal spell show up on turn 6-ish,
Hmm.
but that frequently goes alongside the first half of the removal spell being something you could play in kind of the first 3 turns of the game at some point, whether that's on 1 or
Hmm.
2 or 3. I'm thinking of, like is it Chainer's Edict is the one that has flashback, or like
Yeah. Yeah.
Fires of Undeath, or a lot of things like that where,
You're a
you
real
know,
one for mentoring Fires of Undeath.
just
That like goth vampire lady really carried that
yeah.
card.
Fires of Undeath, of course, is 2 and a red for a shock that you could flashback for 5 and up
Yeah.
from Dark Ascension.
Yep. Yep. Yep.
A 3 mana shock is probably not the price that you always want to pay, but you
Yeah.
can interact with something in the early-ish
Yeah.
game
Yeah.
and then get that 6 mana back. I just don't know that I'm, even for all of the fun things there, 4 mana for the first part of the removal puts,
Mm.
like, I'll play 4 mana removal in limited
Yeah.
sometime.
Yeah.
And
Maybe that's part of what I was reacting to too, is that like this is not an impending card on the level of the other impending cards. It's just like a
sure.
standalone Titan kind of thing.
Mhm.
This is a build aroundy card. The build aroundiness is a little hard to do at 4 mana while setting up other things that are part of your game, because you probably want to play a creaturey deck to feed things to this later. So at 4 mana, I can't play creatures, but I need to play creatures later. But it's kind of awkward in kind of a standard sense. It would be a fun rare, I think, and limited, because that cost is just totally fine and limited. But yeah, the 4 mana cost, I think I agree. I see what you're saying, where it sort of splits it. It takes it out of standard and pushes it either to commander or limited. Um,
Here's my other pitch is, make this like some greater elemental on Lauren Shadowmoor that like the goblins worship some. Give me this with my like boggart shenanigans, sacrificing creatures. So I can be like, yeah, I just play a bunch of goblins that I like to sacrifice, and that would give me a kind of path forward for being able to sequence this in limited without too much worry. Is like, oh yeah, my 3-drop when it sacrificed it deals 3 damage to a target. Great. I will play this on 4 or 5 and be happy.
mhm. Yeah.
Yeah.
Kind of fun to go deep on like why we react. Like it's sometimes the reactions to a card. This is, I wouldn't say a simple card, but this card, like, you can read it and understand what it's doing. But then
Mhm.
like our reactions to like what we do with it, it takes some unpacking to get to that.
We could just give a like thumbs up, thumbs down to
Sure.
each
Yeah. Yeah.
card, or be like, I'd put this
Yeah.
in my commander deck, But as a podcast about game design through the lens of Magic the Gathering, I think kind of unpacking what does and doesn't work, or the context for these things, and like
Yeah.
why, what we envision, and like, oh yeah, this definitely in 10th edition would be a showpiece rare. You know what I mean? Like is like those
Yeah.
are valuable context, at least for me, and I think for our listener
Yeah.
too.
Yeah. Yeah.
Our next submission is from Miss Liz. It's Snuffling Rooney.
Hmm.
It's 4 green and a green for a 4/7 creature
Hmm.
boar at rare. That's a 4/7 for kind of primeval Titan style manas. Titan Day. It has vigilance. Attacking doesn't cause this creature to tap. And when this creature enters, attacks, blocks, dies, or becomes the target of a spell or ability an opponent controls,
Hmm.
create a food token.
Ah,
And spend 3 and a green Sacrifice 4 foods. Return this card from your graveyard to the battlefield tapped.
Mm.
I'll read the flavor text here. Skell wise women enchant their familiars with such bloody-minded focus that not even death can stop their hunt for rare ingredients. We've got a truffle snuffler here, I think.
Yeah, absolutely. A giant one.
Yeah.
I, I think from video games or whatever, I know that pigs sniff out truffles, but I don't even
Okay.
know. I don't know on a more practical level like what that actually involves. Do you just like watch your pig like root around for a couple hours?
I haven't done it myself in person. So we saw from the Snack Wix familiar
Yeah.
earlier, the little snail. We saw it enters, attacks, or dies. Here
Hmm.
we're double tripling with enters, attacks, blocks, dies, or gets targeted by an opponent. So the enters trigger, you're getting the food for sure.
Yeah. Yeah.
The attacks trigger, well, there's a 4/7, there's a decent chance. If this is dying, it's dying likely because it either attacked, blocked, and or became the target of a spell or ability
Hmm.
an opponent
Hmm.
controls.
Yeah.
Ideally, with a 4/7 vigilance, you're like having it enter, you're blocking the next turn, then you're attacking with it.
Hmm.
And then if it dies, like you've gotten 4 there. If your opponent targets it, that's like 5 out of the bargain. You
Hmm.
are spending mana to bring it back alongside the food, and like, you could feasting Troll King if you're doing other food things. The multiple ways it creates the food, I think is really neat with the
Hmm.
high food cost, and that you kind of want to hold on to that food to bring back your 4/7, assuming that this gets removed.
Hmm. Yeah. I think part of what you're summarizing is like you're pretty likely to get 3 foods out of this without trying too hard, and your
Mhm.
opponent being on top of it. If they have a death toucher, he get enters, attacks, and dies. If they've got, a removal spell, you've got enters, dies, and becomes the target. Like it's pretty easy to
Mhm.
get to 3 even when your opponent's on top of it. And if your opponent is a little more helpless, getting a 4 or 5 or 6 is not too difficult. 4 or 5 or 6 food. Which allows this creature to come back again and probably do the same thing again.
Yeah. Is a 4/7 vigilance plus a stream of, at least 2 food every turn cycle or anything, is that going to be outclassed by another creature?
Yeah.
Because if it's not being outclassed by you know, a horde of 6/6s or something like that, or a bunch of
Mm.
5/5s on the other side of the battlefield, or a lot of flyers. If this can like engage in combat and or get removed, I think you're sitting pretty and you're gonna have some fun.
Hmm.
And I mean that's a nice thing for, hey, this green card with a lot of durability and inevitability and a little bit of card advantage involved in it.
Yeah.
Like, it's nice that then, hey, the one thing that could beat this is lots of big creatures or big evasive creatures. Then it's like, okay, well then I'll use my other green 4 and 5 and 6 mana cards to
Yeah.
help you with that.
Yeah. The downside of this card, if there is one, is that it's a 6 mana ground creature, right?
Mhm.
It's kind of expensive to get down. Once it is down, like this dominates limited pretty easily, I would say.
Mhm.
But it's 6 mana, so maybe it's allowed to do that. I would have to be a foodie deck. Like there'd have to be like a food package in a nearby block for this to be a standard card to me.
Mhm.
But maybe it would be there because you can discard it, get it out for 4 foods that you got from some other source, and then start, you know, raking it in.
I think I would be happier with this card as like a 6/5 or a 6/4 or something, rather than
You want it to die more often.
I want it to die more often, but I also this is very much the, like, Siege Rhino era being so distinctly memorable that
Hmm.
if you have and this might be more likely in like a standard sort of environment or something, but where, okay, I have 10 creatures on the board and you have 10 creatures on the board. Now my life total is 120 something and yours is 60. Oh, and then, okay, you got me down another 18 life. Oh, well, I just gained another 18 life.
Yeah.
And that doesn't happen that often,
Yeah.
but as like play designers, making sure that that is not a thing that ends up happening is
Sure,
one
yeah.
reason why I think we see and will continue to see like power over toughness being a
Yeah.
like a more
Sure.
dominant thing or more dominant mode, because I think in olden times magic, toughnesses were a lot cheaper than powers, and now I
Yeah.
think there's going to be there has been and likely will continue to be a shift.
The pictures we were painting earlier of this, hey, this gets 3 food without much work, if your opponent is on top of it, like, maybe it can bring itself back, maybe it can't. But
Mhm.
in any case beyond that, like, where your opponent is not on top of it, this is 5, 6, 7 foods. The excess food you can turn into life. Maybe flyers don't even matter anymore. This is unkillable in combat, kind of. Those all contribute to, this might actually accidentally gain you a ton of life through a ton of food. Maybe that's why we might not see like a food package that's strong enough to support this in standard, because making 4 foods like that's also changing a lot about the length of games or your options in a game.
Yeah.
Very cool card though. I mean, people read it. I think anyone who reads this is going to laugh at the 5 different triggers.
Mhm.
So certainly an entertaining card, powerful, playable. Yeah, you do all kinds of cool stuff with it.
And hypothetically, in a commander setting, uh, Tim, you and I are sat at the table and we're like, okay, here's our plan. I'm going to
Yeah.
cast Nothing Rooney. You're going to cast Nothing Rooney. We're just
Mm.
going to keep attacking into each other's
Yeah.
pigs back and forth. And
Infinite money
so
printer. Yeah.
when our friend plays Overlord of Calamity and makes us
Mm.
sacrifice our boar, even
Yeah.
though it didn't target them, well, we can each bring back our 4/7. Like no one's gonna beat our bond of food and friendship.
There we go. I love it.
Yeah, another great SN fun.
Yeah, good, great submission. Next up from Xena, we've got some animated movie card here. Oh, Luca. Okay. Snorkel Kid, 3 red green for a 1/1 creature human with defender. How's this gonna have?
Mhm.
At the beginning of your end step, if this creature entered or attacked this turn, create a treasure token for each land you control. Then create a blue 1/1 fish creature token for each creature you control. All right. So this is an enters trigger and in unusual circumstances, an attack trigger. That's kind of a funny puzzle.
Just immediately, a Titan trigger on a creature with defender
Yeah.
is a fun challenge.
Yeah.
That's a neat build around opportunity for people who want like to do that.
Hmm. Most powerful thing to this is making a whole bunch of treasure. Sort of stockpiles a bunch of mana for next turn. So I can do my 10 mana, my 12 mana, my 14 mana play.
Mhm.
And there is a card kind of like this that I've played a little bit of, which is Brass's Bounty, which is
Mm.
6 in a red. So 7 mana red sorcery that does the same thing. For each land you control, create a treasure token. This is like a fun thing to like, the cards that let you like free flip cards off the top of libraries and cast one of them, like a Tali. Like this is a fun card to hit or set up in those kinds of decks where I'm free casting stuff off the top. In a treasury deck, like sometimes you pay treasure to do this and then get more treasure, and then you pay treasure to get more treasure and stuff like that. I think going from like 7 mana in mono red to 5 mana in Gruul is probably fine. Like there's probably like a trade straight across.
I want to read the flavor text real quick, which is I'll find such treasure below the waves. I know I will. Sure, Jimmy, but let's first teach you how to swim.
Hmm.
This is a snorkel kid. This is someone who is first experiencing the water. I haven't seen Luca. I think there's some Les gens de la mer sort of merfolk, but they've got to learn to like actually swim without the snorkel in order to go out and see and do the things in order to leave the shallows or the seaside there.
Yeah, that's a really inspiring chunk of flavor with the defender. I think that's a really good match. That you get paid off so much even before you learn to swim. It's like, well, you get half up front in your pirate treasure search, and then the other half when you actually learn to swim.
Let's imagine that you have an easy way of setting up defender attacking. You've got a assault formation or one of those, and you have, I don't know, Snorkel Kid and 2 creatures out. You're a defender deck, you're whatever. So you make 3 bluefish, and then next turn you make 6 bluefish. The next turn you make 12 bluefish. Obviously, you're also making a, I think I might describe it as bajillion treasure tokens.
Fair enough.
The card that I kind of most want to play this with isn't, I mean, like, would also be some of the other like defender cards or defenders can attack cards or things like that. But Time Sieve, the sacrifice 5 artifacts take an extra turn for blue and a black artifact from Alara Block. That might be Alara Reborn, but despite being very much not the red green thing, I'm like, if I can make 5 treasure a turn, and or 5 plus treasure a turn, so I can start accruing extra treasure or whatever. If I can, okay, so it's at the beginning of your end step, so it does have to survive the attacks in the process.
Well, funny at the beginning of your end step, yeah. Which I think like it puts even more focus on the enter part, because it's especially unlikely to survive attacking. I guess that gives it a little bit of play around. If my control opponent is going against this card, they can murder this card after you cast it, but before the end step to prevent the first blast of treasure.
Yeah.
Funny.
I think that extra vulnerability. I believe one of Xena's earlier drafts had 0 toughness.
Oh.
With an enters or attacks trigger, which was going to be, I think, fairly fun because, like, okay, yeah, you can enter, but if you want to attack, you do have some work set out for you in order to get this creature to stay around, or to, if you had like an end step trigger like this, okay, it's 0 toughness. Can you get your creature to survive with enters a 0 toughness to the end of the turn? And if you can, here's your payoff for that hard work.
Yeah. Like an unusual quest, like with 0 toughness, that's like a thing you can't naturally do. Like you can't accidentally do. You have to be building around it. You have to be trying to do it. One of the first ones that I remember that's like kind of like that is from old Kamigawa, Bushi Tenderfoot.
Sure.
Which is a 1-mana 1/1 creature, who's the old style flip creature. When a creature dealt damage by this creature this turn dies, flip this creature. So it's a 1-mana 1/1. How likely is it to survive combat? Pretty unlikely, right? It doesn't have any abilities. But then it flips into this like giant double striking Bushido samurai. And so it's this thing that like can't really happen naturally. But if you build around it, like you feel really rewarded. You put this in a deck. No one else plays this card. So on and so forth. Yeah.
Yeah. I think you should be able to play Bushi Tenderfoot as a commander.
There you go.
It turns into a legendary creature, and just gonna see the spirit within. I've not thought about that card in a really long time, and what a memory. What a fun, weird, casual card. It's very much a like, okay, we need to find a way to give this thing double strike in advance, but then it's like, okay, or I guess first strike, but especially double strikes, you can actually try to take something out. But then it gains double strikes. So it's like, well, if I'm using first strike or double strike to get Bushi Tenderfoot Anyways, we can focus on Snorkel Kid and not Bushy Tenderfoot. Um,
Yeah, I guess the potential of this defender flavor that you highlighted of it's this person is not yet able to do something, but if someone else helps them, they'll be able to do this really cool thing. That's a flavor thread that you could probably use in some other cards.
mhm.
And we've got kind of like a I don't know, an experimental version of that here.
I think this is one of my favorite Xena cards in a while.
Oh, okay.
I think this particular iteration and flavor are like an interesting way of weaving the parts together. But I
Yeah.
think the kind of the design seed, which is something that I often think of when I'm looking at a Xena card, is
Yeah.
like, what's the new kind of frontier of the mechanical design here?
Yeah.
No reminder text. That's the
Oh.
funniest thing. There's space for defender reminder text, and there's a keyword, and a keyword that might be useful if somebody's reading this and not understanding why you get such a payoff. But
Hmm.
reminder text of the spirit, but not reminder text of the letter. Our next submission is from Spice Duchess. It's hmm, it's Sneezing Snot Rocketeer. 1 and a white for a 3/1 creature
Oh.
goblin soldier. Whenever this creature attacks or dies, another target creature's base power or toughness becomes 3 until end of turn.
Whoa.
And while there's not reminder text, there is text in parentheses here, which is the card's illustration is that of a frazzled, enthusiastic young goblin with a helmet and a hammer. It looks street savvy and suspiciously similar to a trademarked character, Rizza the Rat.
Okay.
And I mean, 'tis the season for Rizza the Rat in many ways.
Ah, Christmas Carol. Yeah, yeah.
So 1 and white for 3/1 goblin soldier. Very fun mono white goblin soldier.
Hmm.
Can't complain about that. So 3/1, when it attacks or dies, another target creature's base power or toughness becomes 3 until end of turn.
Another target creature. So at first I was thinking, oh, I can make this into a 3/3. Nope. This is for supporting other creatures.
Also, hey, wait a minute. I don't know if this is intentional or not. This is a whenever this creature attacks or
Yeah.
dies trigger. This isn't a Titan trigger.
Yep, yep.
The design challenge is design a creature with an enters or attack trigger.
It's sort of the power play on designer parts. They send us a card that's not the challenge, and we still talk about it anyhow.
I mean, I guess the question is, should we review this as written, or should we assume? Because I'm not sure what dies turn another creature's power or toughness into 3.
Yeah. I think we should review it as is because this is
Okay.
just what was submitted to us. But the value of enters is pretty obvious to me, where I can say like, "Oh, I've got another 2/1 or whatever. Oh, that's a 2/3 until end of turn because I cast this guy, and then whenever it attacks, I do that again to keep it alive." So it's like a stream of helping out your little or low toughness creatures survive.
Mhm.
Sneezing Snot Rocketeer. How does this connect to base power? I guess I can shrink. I can make any creature that would block me something that I can kill. So they have a 10/10. Oh, it's a 10/3.
Your opponent has a really tricky to deal with creature, and you wait. No, okay. I was trying to think of a way to make Meek Stone work with this. The creatures with
Yeah.
power 3 or greater don't
Oh,
untap during the controller's untap steps.
yeah.
But there's unless you are sacrificing our little goblin soldier here during your opponent's untap step,
Yeah.
I think that's going to be a tricky window to make one of your opponent's creatures suddenly.
And
Yeah.
actually I know why the dice trigger is good now because anything that blocks it you can opt to kill because
Oh,
they have a 10/10. They block your 3/1. It's a 10/10 at the time of the block, but then Snot Rocketeer dies and says, "Oh, you have 3 damage marked on you. Oh, your toughness is 3 now."
genius. Yeah, that definitely
Those
solves the card in a big way.
we got our white death touch.
Yeah, that was gonna be one of my questions here. How do you feel about the color pie of this
Yeah.
card?
Maybe the thing that came to mind first with this is in Hearthstone. So there's like a bunch of different character classes in Hearthstone, like Warlock or Hunter or Mage
Mhm.
or whatever. And one of them is Paladin. And one of the main themes of Paladin is setting powers or toughnesses to specific numbers. And Paladin is like very holy flavored, bright light of justice or whatever. So this card is like very Paladin coded to me, setting things to 3. Sometimes that increases, sometimes that decreases, and that's 100% the point of the gameplay of Paladin. I don't know if it's the white color pie, but it is the Hearthstone holy color pie. Humility.
Right? I tend to be more positive towards Beast Within than almost anybody I know,
Okay.
and less positive towards the kind of blue. Oh, well, blue is the color of change, therefore blue sets other creatures'
Mm,
power and toughness and et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. All cards are blue sort of thing.
mm,
And as a result, I end up being more positive towards like humility, Godhead of Awe
mm,
style sort of stuff in white.
mm,
But I don't. And we've had white death touch before.
mm.
Creatures when they die, you destroy a creature, especially
Oh
when
yeah,
you're
yeah.
you know blocking or blocked. You do a big power toughness boost or things like that. But I don't think this fits for me. And I don't know what color I want it best in. Like even red white here, like red white gold, I
Mm,
think I could be like, well, I don't know that either of them, but like maybe together they can make something 3 and then deal 3 damage to it. And like, yeah, I can kind of see that. But
mm,
otherwise, like, is this card black blue? Is this card black blue green? Is this a Sultai card? am I yeah, this is
mm.
this is red white or it's black blue green. I don't know. I think there's really interesting things going on with the rules text, and I can't quite place what its net result should be, because if it
Yeah.
was power, then I'm like, yeah, I'm right on
Mm,
board.
okay.
Power or toughness makes it really tricky, specifically because this is like a 3-1 in that way. I don't
Hmm.
know. I'm torn with indecision and unsurety.
Yeah, yeah. Now that I understand the die's trigger, the card is a lot more flexible than I realized. Is it mostly just blue now that has the auras? Hey, this creature is a 1/1 snake now. Like, do we see white doing that? Should white be doing that kind of stuff? I don't know.
Mhm. It's an interesting question.
Yeah, a cool card though. We didn't get it at first, but now that we get it, we see the vision.
Yeah.
Alrighty. Next up from Kern, we have Snowball Abomination. This is 3 green blue, 5 mana for a 5/5. Snow artifact creature, golem, at uncommon. There's like a cool frosty owl set icon. Whenever this creature enters or attacks, create a snowball token. It's a snow artifact with 1. Sacrifice this artifact. Tap target creature and put a stun counter on it.
Hmm.
And then it has snowfall whenever another snow permanent enters the battlefield under your control, proliferate. This is entering and attacking and creating snow artifacts. So this could lead to a snowball effect, I guess.
Yeah. So you're proliferating. So it's a 5/5 for 5. We're creating the snowball tokens. And I I do love Snowfall. That just is such a
Okay.
fun, perfect name. I think snow is probably a less is more sort of thing that we found in design.
Yeah.
I am happy to see, like, I expected that we'd get some snow designs with
Hmm.
a thing asking, "Hey, it's the December design challenge, design a card that starts with the SN. Like getting some snow designs makes sense. But there's a reason I don't make every December and January like mono snow design challenges and that sort of thing.
Hmm.
All it said, I really like snowfall as a word. I think it's so intuitive.
Yeah, we got like the 2 snow sets really close. We got Kaldheim and whichever Modern Horizons that was. But
Mhm.
it'll probably be another 4 years before we get another one. But Kern is saying, "How about today? How about this set? This set is the one where we're doing it again."
You can do this on its own and or this plus just like snow basic lands
Yeah.
is a controlling card. I mean, evil snowman,
Yeah.
abominable snowman throwing snowballs that then like ice the creature, but then like the ice
Mhm.
is like growing down their limbs as it's like proliferated the stun counters.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's kind of 2 lenses for this. One of this is a card that works really well with itself. When it enters, hey, you get a snowball, you might not have mana to do other stuff. But once you are attacking, the snowball enters, and then in response to the proliferate trigger, you can throw the snowball and maybe even throw your other snowball to tap and then immediately have those proliferate to 2 stun counters. And then from then on, you're going to basically keep one additional creature stunned because you can continue proliferating each time this attacks. You can continue responding to that trigger with another stun. So you're stunning more and more and more creatures as you go. So it's just effective on that level. But then the
Mhm.
other piece of this card is that this is a reward for all of those players out there that love playing snow basics just because it's like a minor upside on one card in their deck. If you're just a planeswalker deck, if you're just, a charge counter deck, whatever else, make all your basic snow, put the abomination in there. Now all your landfalls or all your basic landfalls turn into proliferates for your charge counters or whatever.
This also has a like 5/5 for 5
Yeah.
where you're happy to be entering and
Mhm.
attacking and everything. I think this is also a fun callback to a card I've noted as a under-examined or underappreciated member of
Mm.
the original Titan cycle, which is, of course,
There you go.
Frost Titan.
Mhm.
Not a snow creature itself, but a snowy creature. It's a Frost Titan.
There you go.
And long predating stun counters as a specific object within Magic, Frost Titan had whenever Frost Titan enters or attacks, tap target permanent, it doesn't untap during its controller's next untap step. And here we have that, but instead of paying the 6th mana on the creature side,
Mhm.
you are paying the 6th mana to activate the snowball. So
Mhm.
you're paying this like 5 and then the 6 in for that. But
Mhm.
you're getting, this like spreading proliferation rather than like one at a time icing in the process.
Yeah, this card I would say competes with Frost Titan.
Mhm. Mhm.
Frost Titan has the like basically Ward 2-ish text,
Mhm.
but this is 1 mana cheaper, or you can pay, like you said, the same amount of mana to get something very close to Frost Titan. And it has the kind of permanent growing lockdown that we talked about.
And it interacts with snow basic lands or
Yeah.
like snow lands in general.
Yeah.
And if your opponent removes your snowball abomination, you can still throw the snowball that remains
Yeah.
kind of
Yeah.
at the optimal time of your choosing.
You can even assess like, oh, I don't need the snowball on this attack. I'll wait for them to play something worthwhile, throw it end of turn of their turn, then attack, proliferate. That creature's locked down forever. I would say that this card is at least as good as Frost Titan. Do you think that's fair to say?
Yes, and I think it has a higher upside for
Yeah.
sure,
Yeah.
especially, engaging with literally any other thing that you'd want to proliferate, any type of
Yeah.
counters on your creatures, a basic planeswalker, any sort of thing. It does, looking at these two cards side by side, snowballs specifically tap creatures.
That's
You can
true.
wait to do that at instant speed, which is, that is helpful that you can wait to decide
Mhm.
and everything. Frost Titan can, lock down a Trinisphere if you need it, because you got to get the Frost Titan on the battlefield.
Or a land, yeah. I think is a common use of it.
Yeah, if you are just cheating a creature onto the battlefield, Frost Titan is probably going to do slightly better for cheating. Snowball Abomination might be slightly better for ramping out and then doing different things. I don't know.
Yeah.
That's I would be happy to see both of the cards, but I think I would stop seeing Frost Titan as often, of course, in like a commander situation where the deck has access to both green and blue mana. So that is its own little
Yeah, yeah.
class.
Yeah, I guess that's true. It's also 2 color. Yeah.
Mhm. And great reminder text here. Hey, you're gonna have reminder text. Why not add a new little token? Our next design is by Juliet, and I'm excited to read this card because I will be honest, I don't remember much about the design of it.
Okay.
It's been a busy December. So this is Snuffance Dragon. It's a single red mana for a 1/1 artifact creature equipment dragon at uncommon. It being a creature equipment, you will not be surprised to hear that it has a reconfigure for 3
Hmm.
generic mana. And then when this creature enters or attacks, you may attach it to another target creature. If you do, it deals 1 damage to any target.
Hmm.
And then equipped creature has +2/+0, has trample, and attacks each combat. A Snuffance or Snuffon is, of course, you can think of it as a precursor to the flintlock. It's like a
Okay.
little thing that strikes against a piece of steel to make a spark to make like a firearm work.
Hmm.
And its root, the Hans or hen part,
Oh,
is part of why we talk about like cocking a gun,
okay.
because it's like a chicken, like a
Oh,
like a hen. But I was
hell
like,
yeah.
this you can imagine like this is a little dragon making a little like tiny little fireball to support your firearm, chemical reaction going off.
Yeah. Alright, let me get like so it's turn 4 or whatever. I have a 3/3 out. I drew my Snap Hands Dragon late. I play it. When this enters or attacks, you may attach it to another target creature. Alright, so I'm gonna attach it to somebody. If I do a deal 1 to any target, oh nice, I get to pick off a 2/1. And then my 3/3 has +2 power, trample, and attacks, which I'm pretty okay with. Um, the attacks each combat's kind of funny on reconfigure specifically because reconfigure, unlike equip, you could just remove. Like
Mhm,
reconfigure, part of what you can do is attach it to a new creature, or you can just detach it to turn it back into a creature.
mhm,
Um, it itself can free equip. Yeah, because it either enters and you get a free equip, or in future turns it can attack, quote unquote. But then as it attacks, it like gets another free equip to uh, jump onto somebody. It is kind of unlikely to be attacking by itself, or for it to be useful as an attacker that is, actually attacking. It's
mhm.
attacking in order to get its free equip going.
If you are playing this as just like a 1/1 for 1 onto the battlefield and nobody else has any creatures or anything, it's like a very fair card in that
Hmm.
sense. It's not gonna take over a board
Yeah.
until there's other things to start targeting. If your opponent has like a 2/2, and then it's like, "Okay, well, I can turn my 1/1 into dealing 1 damage to my opponent's face
Yeah.
at the cost of making their creature a 4/2 trampler that attacks each combat," and
Yeah.
then, like, I can spend mana to, like, kind of cycle in and out of that mode potentially. But I really liked the idea of a enters or attacks that then like stops being a creature. And
Yeah.
so when, creatures are destroyed and everything, then okay, you're back to having the little dragon that's like,
Mhm.
who should I go and like who should I go and light a fire under to make them start attacking, but also be able to shoot a little fireball at somebody.
Yeah. When I read this card at first, it reminded me of a card that people, whenever they see it, mention me because I've cast it a lot in my life, which is Bloodthirsty Blade. One of my signature
Mm-hmm.
cards, I would say. This is an equipment that gives +2/+0 and is goaded, and it's one to attach to a creature an opponent controls. So it only goes on your opponent's creatures and it goads them, and it's like this flexible goad thing to just keep the worst creature off of you. This card feels so close to being able to do that for me, but not quite. I don't think it's trying to. But if that attacks each combat was just a goad, like it would still
Sure.
have to attack each combat. It would just I don't know. Maybe I love goad too much.
I think that would be a perfectly reasonable
Yeah.
redesign of this. Part of coming up with this was like, okay, I had some of the different component parts. I'm like, okay, enters or attacks
Yeah.
into a reconfigure. Oh, great,
Yeah.
little equipment dragon. And then my other thought was, how much can I put into a card whose floor is 1 mana 1/1?
Hmm.
Like how positive, like how much of an
Yeah.
impact on the board can you have for a single red mana that also can just be a 1/1 in a worst case scenario, which
Yeah.
like that's not the highest floor. Like a 1 mana 1/1 isn't something that you want to be casting most of the time, but it's
Yeah.
also not the lowest floor because like the cost of that is just a
Mhm.
single mana. And so trying to figure out, okay, if something interferes with the initial one, you do have to be able to like attack with this, so it can't be summoning sick or anything. And then like you're only reconfiguring as a sorcery, so you have to figure out your
Hmm.
who you're boosting what and where, and spending 3 generic mana or 6 generic mana for each like 1 damage or anything that you're doing is that could be considerable.
Yeah, yeah. And I mean, there has been creature creep over time, but dealing 1 damage is still like quite a relevant thing to do in limited. It's not going to be always good to always kill a thing, which is where you want to be. You want this to occasionally be able to pick off things, but not always be able to do so. In like an aggro mirror match, I would say that this is quite nice and limited because I'm definitely picking off 1/1 tokens that are being created or 3/1s or whatever else. So it has a lot of utility there. You've got to add uncommon, not at common, which is great. And then the ability just get some extra power, some trample, along with that 1 damage means that whoever's swinging with this is probably getting through and probably dealing some damage.
If you don't have any creatures out and your opponent has multiple creatures out, like you can
Yeah.
play this and take out a 2/1, but those 2 power are being carried over to another creature
You got to pay
until you.
another 3 mana to reconfigure back off. Yeah.
Mhm,
Yeah.
mhm.
Funny.
Yeah, so this is as many modes as I think I could fit on a.
Another Julia signature, just like the 10 modes on a card. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, it's not a 2/1 for 1, but like, I don't know, a 1/1 that deals 1 damage is kind of a 2/1 for 1. That's 2/1 for 1 with upside and downside, I think is my bloodthirsty blade. It's my
Yeah.
'cause it's I've probably talked about this before, but, like, that's such a, in my experience, key part of making, like, a jumpstart environment fun,
Hmm.
is having these creatures where you can be involved, like, in aggressive start, but then
Hmm.
do interesting things if they get outclassed in the middle game, or if you're playing them later on, or that have different play across different
Hmm.
games and aren't just, here's
Yeah.
my bear that doesn't do anything, and is the same every game.
Hmm. There you go. All right. Next up from Cord, we've got Snod Colossus. Artifact creature giant. It's a 6 mana 6/6. This creature can't gain or lose abilities. Whenever this creature enters, attacks, or transforms into Snod Colossus, target creature loses all abilities until end of turn. Can't gain or lose abilities. What a strange. All right. And it also, I guess, oh, maybe this is a modal DFC. So it has two different casting costs. It's 6 mana, 6/6 on the front. And then on the back is a 3 mana enchantment called Colossus's Rights. It has Convoke. So for that 3 mana, you can tap some creatures as well. And then at the beginning of your upkeep, if you control 3 or more creatures without abilities, transform Colossus's Rights.
So we've got the 3 mana enchantment convoke. You know, we're so you can convoking a 3 generic mana out is pretty easy to
Yeah.
do.
Yeah.
And then at the beginning of your upkeep, if you control 3 or more creatures without abilities, so you've made 3 generic 1/1s, you know, you've done a Hordeling Outburst or something.
Mm-hmm.
And so your 3 little guys, let's just assume you're doing 3 generic 1/1s.
Sure. Yeah.
They don't have abilities. They are tapping to convoke this, and then at the beginning of your next turn, transforming it that you basically got for free just for the price of cardboard, and turning it into a 6/6 that then can remove the abilities from another creature. Maybe ideally you're taking, you know, I've got my 3/1/1 goblins with no abilities, and then they make a Colossus Rights, which then transforms into a Snod Colossus, and that kills your Karnstruct or some other creature that like relies on its abilities to have toughness. That's a fun like convoke payoff. And like
Hmm.
specifically, I think token payoff. Obviously, you can have other generic
Yeah.
creatures, but I think specifically a token payoff
Yeah,
that
it's pretty unlikely to have creatures without abilities that aren't tokens. There are technically vanilla creatures, but you're playing them for a gag probably if you have that.
mhm. This creature can't gain or lose abilities is a really interesting, like, that's not a line of text I think I've ever seen before.
Yeah. It
I
it makes me even question, can it have its own second ability? What causes you to does having text printed on you cause you to gain an ability? I guess not is probably the implication, but I don't actually know that for sure.
I think if it's the only creature on the
Uh,
battlefield and it targets itself, it doesn't lose its ability.
oh, okay. That's
I
the
think
main
that's
reason for that. Okay.
but I think the main reason for it is also just, like, it's, flavorful. It's,
Yeah.
I think
That seems like the point. Yeah.
ribbon
Yeah.
is the old term for those sort of things where, like, yeah, this is mostly just to sell the concept of it, and this is
Yeah.
vanillas matter to a degree, and while not vanilla, can't gain abilities is a
Yeah.
vanilla-ish thing. It's a
It's just
without the
wild to have trinket text that is like this giant unremarked on design space that like we like how's this ability defined? We're just gonna throw that on there.
Yeah.
Can't be blocked except by rogues. Well, that's trinket text, but this creature can't gain or lose abilities. Now we need like an extra 2 paragraphs in the comprehensive rules.
Uh-huh.
Um, yeah,
Especially because like, gaining and losing abilities are, I think gaining and losing abilities are, I think, the most complicated element of layers. Obviously, especially how that interacts with, like, types and losing and gaining types is the, like, trickiest part, but
yeah. It would really have to be like a quiz. You either have to know it as through layers, or you just have a quiz. But yeah, step by step quiz. Is a
uh-huh,
plus one counter gaining an ability? I don't know.
mhm.
Probably not. Is a flying counter gaining an ability? Probably. That is probably gaining an ability.
That's a
Is
great question.
is being given like the elf creature type? Is that an ability? Maybe not. Is getting changeling an ability? Yeah, it is. I don't know. It's more funny than anything. It's just funny. Like, let's have some throwaway text that is mind boggling.
If this becomes a land and gains a basic land type,
Yeah.
you know,
Do islands definitionally have tap add to a blue, or are you gaining an ability in that case? Yeah, that's a good
Mhm,
example.
mhm. Similar to the like, oh hey, whenever a like permanent or spell or ability an opponent controls causes them to gain life, this thing happens instead. But
Yeah,
wait, they have a creature with lifelink, and somehow that isn't a permanent spell or ability. That's
yeah, yeah,
another thing.
yeah,
I I think there's another interesting element to this card, which is the fact that it is, as presented to us, a common.
yeah,
And so it's a common 6/6 for 6, but it's like a common 6/6 for take a turn off from attacking if you have 3 creatures out?
yeah. I guess this is power level not that bad for a common. I would say complexity wise, it's insane as a common. 6 mana 6/6 with a, I would say, marginal ability, like making something lose all abilities is not, like, I would probably take trample over that.
Mhm.
And then the ability to like work really hard to cheat it out is also not adding a ton of raw power to the card rarity wise to me. So power level wise, this is a common that I would often cut from limited decks, but is just really complicated, and maybe in like a really specific deck that's like spewing out Eldrazi tokens or whatever. I get a 3 mana or even 2 or 1 mana 6/6, and it's a fun thing to do there.
I like this in limited-ish spaces. I think
Hmm.
maybe if the upkeep trigger on Colossus's Rights was like an end step trigger or something, then we
Hmm.
could maybe see it in some cube-ish environments. I'm
Yeah.
thinking of some of
Yeah.
the I mean, like, Agonos powered cube is very much a, like, powered cube
Yeah.
in a sense, but there
Yeah.
are
It's like a fun build around.
some
Yeah.
yeah, here, draft this thing. Oh, hey, I know that's unlikely to be picked up by other stuff. It's not the worst thing to discard and reanimate, I suppose, but like you probably don't want to. Unless there is a like reanimate and gain a bad ability, which then the Colossus is immune to, or
Yeah.
something. Makeshift mannequin. This is a good makeshift mannequin target, I suppose. So you probably want an
This
ETB on
creature,
that.
yeah, it's sneak attack. This creature gains at the end of combat. Sacrifice this creature. Yeah.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
so I think it has enough fun things there that
Yeah.
the idea also of in a typical limited environment going, oh, yeah, you should probably cut your Snot Colossus from most decks. But hey, I drafted 4 of them and I have enough like 2 mana, make 2 tokens, 3 mana, make 3 tokens, or like make 2
Yeah.
tokens, rebound, make another token, or like various little things to make enough guys.
Yeah.
If I'm confident that on turn 3 I can turn some 1/1s sideways and put this out, and maybe I have enchantment like synergies where I put an enchantment out and
Mm.
opponent plays a land, I make a 1/1, or like who knows, various different little things like that. This
Yeah.
seems like such a fun draft combined with other cards. Like it doesn't
Yeah.
have to be the only build around, but it has enough fun synergies. And at least in my experience, Convoke can absolutely just like totally change the scales of a
Yeah.
limited match or like a limited environment even sometimes
I
because of just how broken it can kind of be.
I think that's true about Convoke. I would say Convoke does not add much power to this card because or rather, the Convoke is just sort of minor compared to the difficulty of having 3 creature tokens in play.
Mm, mm,
Like,
sure,
I'm realizing, like, oh, what are extra cheap tokens like Eldrazi tokens? Those don't actually work because those have abilities. So
sure.
you need like legit 1/1s or some format with goats or something.
Mhm.
And getting 3/1/1s is the hard part compared to paying 3 mana.
I think I'm also thinking about some of the enchantment and sorcery like token producers in something like Agonos Cube, where it's like, oh, if you have 3 planes,
Yeah.
here make 2/1/1s. If you control 3 planes, make a third. If you control 5 planes, deal a damage. If you like,
Yeah.
etc.
Yeah.
I wonder if there'd be some way, if you were spelling Convoke out rather than just using Convoke with reminder text or whatever, something about like creatures who tap for the Colossus's rights like lose their abilities in the process. If you wanted to make this a more self-powering thing rather than relying on something like Hordeling Outburst, I think is the archetypical in a way where it's like, yeah, it's making 3/1/1 red goblin creature tokens. They don't have any other abilities because goblin is their ability, but it's just in the type
Yeah,
instead
yeah.
of elsewhere. And you're right that that's not that common because frequently when we make tokens, we want to do something interesting with them.
Yeah. Or they're like coming along with some other creature and they're more expensive, like a 3 mana that makes a 1/1 or something.
Hmm.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
don't know. I think, or if we're trying to say like, hey, this is about making a cool token deck, I kind of might prefer that it just like talks about tokens on there instead of creatures without abilities. But maybe it's
Sure.
just part of the otherworldly vibe that Cord is going for to like make it weird, make it hard to compare to other cards.
So first we play Humility,
There you
and
go.
then we play Opalescence, and then we play Colossus's Rights.
Hmm.
So that Colossus's Rights itself is a
Is
creature without a wait, no, but then it can't.
ah, there you go.
Sadly, I don't think Snod Colossus is an anagram, but I think you might be able to make something if it was Snod Colossus's Rights, as
Oh,
I think you have enough letters that way.
okay. Yeah, yeah. I I think this card is more on the like weird novelty than on the thing I am interested in playing. Whereas I think you're more on like, no, we could do it. We could have one of our archetypes be able to do this in our cube or whatever.
Mhm. And at the cost of, maybe I kind of want a 6 mana 6/6 artifact creature at common that isn't the most played thing in the set. Like
Yeah.
for to get a story beat across and be a artifact creature you can discard for another thing or something. Like I
Mm,
that's something that I find myself wanting in a limited environment
yeah.
and
Yeah.
then being like, "Oh, but you can also build around it for this and maybe play it as a like casual constructed like white weedy style sort of thing." I think
Mhm.
it's fun when that random common that doesn't matter
Yeah.
can also be fun for a specific subset of player.
There you go.
Our next submission is from Yabo.
That sounds like a new submitter.
Pew pew
New.
pew, new
Blah, blah, blah,
submitter.
blah, 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 new submitter. Blah, 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 blah.
And Yabo has submitted Snixis, Titan
Oh.
of Depths Pole, which is, I think, a little bit of a tongue twister. It's
Mhm.
a 6/6 legendary creature, Elder Giant, for 1 blue and a black at Mythic. It also, much like the other Elder Giant 6/6s for 3 gold mana, has Escape for blue, blue, black, black. Exile 5 other cards from your graveyard. You may cast this card from your graveyard for its escape cost. And when Snixis enters, sacrifice it unless it escaped. So that's all kind of, I think, what we would expect from the Uro
Yeah.
Flayed
Mhm.
Croxa. Is that
Mhm.
the
Mhm.
yeah. And then the big kind of spell ability of this is whenever Snixis enters or attacks, you may return target creature to its owner's hand. If you do, that creature's owner discards a card.
Oh, we got a little bit of I guess
Is it
the
Mhm.
recoil, yeah, is the
Yeah.
original one, and then I think Denrova Horror put that ability back on the
Oh,
map.
sure, sure. Haven't heard that name
So we got our Denrova Titan.
in a
Yeah,
long time.
quite a good card,
Yeah,
and kind of similar to this card. So 3 mana, how good is it to recoil? Well, that's how much recoil cost originally, so probably okay.
but it's at sorcery speed, for better or for worse.
That's true. That's true. The Titan game plan is get something done right now, and then later on, it's gravy train. Does that qualify for this? Yeah. I'm going to take something off the battlefield. They're going to go down a card. And then later in the game, I'm going to escape this, bounce another thing, attack, bounce another thing, blah, blah, blah. Gravy. Absolutely good. You could even do the kind of like a blink shenanigans with this, where you just like turn your 1 mana blink spell into an additional bounce a creature, make them discard. So yeah, just a powerful card.
This, I think, also accomplishes something that I think of for the Elder Giant Titans from Theros as a plane, is it feels kind of impossible to deal with if you have to deal with it straight on. Like, okay, so to avoid needing to discard, I just don't have any creatures on the board. Ooh, is that going to be how I beat this blue-black player, is by not having any creatures? Maybe not. And so then I'm going to keep having my creatures removed. I'm going to keep suffering against this 6/6, and it's you gotta outrace the escape version of it while also losing a card on the front end.
This compares, I would say, pretty favorably to Kroxa, because Kroxa enters, each opponent discards a card, then each opponent who didn't discard a non-land card this way loses 3 life. So you get penalized for discarding lands with Kroxa. But in one-on-one, you pay 1 extra mana and you also get a bounce out of it, which makes it probably roughly as good on the friend side, but much better on the escape side, because they cost the same to escape and so on and so forth.
If your opponent has any token creatures out, you can bounce the token so it dissolves, and then they still have to discard a card, even though they don't now have another card to, because otherwise they can, okay, I can discard that creature or a land or something else. In this case, like, oh no, I'm losing even more this way.
Yeah, I'm trying to put this in the Escape Titans power rankings, and I think it's above Kroxa for me.
Kroxa does have the benefit of being a mana cheaper.
Yeah.
And that can be an issue. I think most of the time it isn't. I'm thinking specifically about like Kroxa's performance in Modern and being a big part of the like red black rock deck of ages past, but like that's quite a while ago. I think this is probably, I think you're right to say that the power ranking probably goes Uroflage, Snixis, then Kroxa.
Yeah.
Which is, even being on those rankings is doing pretty strong. Flage is a kind of a nightmare of a card, and this is in some situations stronger.
Yeah, that's what I'm trying to figure out. It's like this definitely does the keep me alive early on thing quite well, which is part of Flage's value, I guess. And
I think this does more for blue-black than Flage does for red-white in a sense. Red-white doesn't normally have... one of the things at Flage, which is the Lightning Helix Titan from... that I think was in the most recent Modern. Yeah, Image 3. Is Flage just adds this like inevitability that otherwise kind of red-white energy or decks like that wouldn't have. Blue-black, I think, more frequently will have that inevitability, but having here's a big like 6/6 that you kind of have to deal with across multiple different vectors is kind of more of a beast in that way. If you're in blue-black and you're exiling cards from your graveyard, it's like I could do Murktide, but
it might be that Flage is better just because it like gives a tool to a deck that rarely has access to that tool. Whereas Snixis, if you're blue-black, maybe you have access to things to do late game and you're not worried about late game. But I don't know, this is just a quite good ability is all I'm thinking. Like, you get the discard kind of no matter... Oh, I guess you have to bounce a thing in order to trigger the discard. You may return target creature to its owner's hand. If you do, that creature's owner discards a card. So they do have to have a creature, which makes it a little bit conditional. Not that conditional. But yeah, it does have a limit there compared to Flage, who could just go face.
Mm-hmm. And
Um,
Flage's ability to go face early or late does also like close out a
yeah,
game.
yeah,
Whereas if my opponent's on a lowish amount of life and I escape my Snyxes back in, okay, I took out their creature, but they have another turn before I can, but like
yeah.
that's a really specific situation.
Mhm.
There's also going to be situations where, hey, you reanimated this, whatever big card. I'm going to bounce it. You can discard it to try to reanimate it again, but like,
Yeah,
you do have to go through those hoops.
I think this is probably the most fun of the four. The three original and then this one in Commander, because Croaks is kind of obnoxious in Commander, making everyone discard. Flage is not a huge factor in Commander. Uro is just sort of value-y and they're better value cards in Commander. Whereas this does some kind of nice things. There's a person who's ahead, bounce that commander, make them discard a card, put them a little bit behind. Give me something to do late game that is like pretty achievable and still has utility later in the game as well.
Yeah. I also just want to note the flavor here. I think is a neat idea.
Yeah.
Snyxis is kind of funny. Like, oh yeah, there's Nyx, but like, oh well, maybe part of
Oh,
the gravity of the night sky or whatever. The idea of, okay, sure, we have Thassa and the sea and everything, but kind of the beckoning of the abyss in a way, and or just like, hey,
okay.
yeah, this is representing gravity in the same way that like Croxa represents like hunger. I think is a here's
Yeah.
this nightmarish thing emerging from like the deep water, in part
Yeah.
because like, where's gravity the scariest? Well, deep water is going to be one of those things, like until you have skyscrapers, being high gravity is not quite as scary, but water is a place that the depths pull.
Yeah.
you
The recoil text is like a good fit for the sailors missing. Are they dead or are they just lost at sea? Like maybe they'll come back, maybe they won't. Um,
and oh, you save somebody from going overboard, but you're losing something in the
yeah.
process of not discarding them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's nice. Thank you for the first card here, Yabo. Hope to get many more. Next up, last up, we've got Toasty, who's back and has given a snake, Titan of Tomorrow. This is like a
Mm.
dreamy bit, like a dreamscape businessman, sort of like a Sandman looking character to me. 4 blue, blue for a 6/6. Legendary creature, human rogue with vigilance. Whenever a snake, Titan of Tomorrow, enters or attacks, draw a card, then exile a card from your hand, it becomes plotted.
Ooh.
Ooh. You may cast it as a sorcery on a later turn without paying its mana cost. So you get to free cast, but a little slow.
Yeah. Draw a card, then exile a card from your hand, it becomes plotted. I mean, that to me is really strong, right? You can do this on
Yeah.
entering, you can do this on attacking, even just getting it the first time, like sequencing this where like, yeah, I'm gonna cheat out my first 6/6 and then I'm gonna cheat out, even bigger stuff from there, or a whole fleet of them.
Yeah, yeah. I think the only comp for this that I'm aware of is the uncommon, like the Simic card from Thunder Junction, which make your own luck. Look at the top 3 cards of your library. You may exile a non-land card from among them. If you do, it becomes plotted. Put the rest into your hand. So that's sort of a draw 3 where you plot one of them. And if the comp for like a draw 3 is a creature who's giant and also draws a card, like snake has some certain advantages over make your own luck, which is quite a slow card.
Snake being the Titan of Tomorrow, absolutely, I think fits with plotting because, like, yeah,
Oh,
tomorrow is
yeah,
gonna be, and you know what? Tomorrow, I'm also going to be setting up the next tomorrow because tomorrows keep coming
yeah.
and they don't stop coming.
This is like a G-man or like some string puller who's like secretly extremely powerful, like is somehow traveling through time, is somehow like the protagonist can't even grasp all the mysterious power that they have. Maybe the
Hmm.
art and just the simple business suit evoke that for
And
me.
oh, this thing is coming, but I can't like interact with it at all. It's already exiled and plotted, and so it's like,
Yeah,
I guess I have today because
yeah,
tomorrow all of the things happen. Yeah,
yeah, yeah. And being able to plot like an arbitrary card from your hand instead of like a make your own luck. One of those three will become plotted, but maybe in those three there isn't something worth plotting. This is certainly a powerful card.
yeah.
This would be a commander card for sure. Obviously, it's a banger limited card.
Mhm. It's also neatly straightforward. This is
Yeah.
she lends a text. I almost wonder if this like vigilance feels you have so little shields down about this
Mm.
because you're getting a card. So even if you have no cards in your hand, there's a good chance you can draw something that could be gas or business or
Yeah.
something. Or if you are plotting something, you still have stuff in your hand to
Yeah.
cast on countering or anything. And you don't have any shields down because of the I think I might trade vigilance for some kind of evasion. But on the other hand, like vigilance means and the Titan trigger, you really want to attack in with this. So maybe your
Yeah.
opponent's way of dealing with it is like having 2/3/2s that they can they can block
Yeah.
with.
Yeah. The vigilance is maybe a little unnecessary because you've already, in the previous turn, if you're attacking with this, plotted a card that is probably good.
Hmm.
So you don't really need the help on defense at that point. But vigilance, like maybe fits the flavor or whatever else. So why not? Why not add a little cherry on top?
This is also a classic card where put this in a cube or something, and it's
Yeah.
it's quite strong. Put this in a low power limited environment
Yeah.
and it's gonna be strong because it's a 6/6 vigilance that draws you a card, and you also can cast the cards for free. But if the cards you're casting for free are you know particularly low power cards, then it's like, okay, it's the 6/6 that draws a card every turn and has vigilance and is difficult to deal with in this low power environment. Kind of an interesting scalar quantity.
Yeah. Just a good card. Good in so many different ways.
Snow, Tim, out of all of these snum missions,
Submission. All right.
uh, out of all these snub missions,
Yeah.
any of them that were your
Snaverites.
yeah, took the words right out of my mouth.
I guess in terms of classic Titans, Snake, the one we just reviewed, is the most in line with a 6 mana thing that is really impressive.
Mhm.
Um, I don't think other people were really trying to do that though. Like we saw a lot of people diverge from that kind of plan. Do I have a favorite besides that?
I think I like how much novelty we got in this. We also got a lot
Yeah.
of clean cards, which I think goes hand in hand with saying, "Hey, have reminder text." So people are going to have shorter cards.
Yeah.
But as Andrew Sherman says, those restrictions breed creativity in that way.
He does often say that.
I've been really I'm really impressed with the kind of different novelty, and obviously I talked a bunch about, ooh, I think this could be like a limited archetype, but this could be
Yeah.
a thing. And so
Yeah,
that's
absolutely. I think the runtime of this episode is going to show that there was plenty to
ooh,
talk about.
I'm looking at it now. Whoops. That was not intentional.
That's fine.
Uh
That's fine.
One of the early on ones, Criprat's little snail
Oh, you
that
like
enters
snack?
attacks or
Okay.
dies. Yeah, I think while I still have questions about the kind of color pie of it,
Hmm.
all of the different elements of it work together so simply and
Yeah.
evocatively that I think that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah. Just a lot of sick cars to read and think about, talk through, and kind of figure out like when you'd use this, what format you'd use this in. The enter and attacks is such a reliable formula for just getting value out of your cards that it makes you look at like where is this card maximized, and yeah, we saw a lot of different takes on that from 1 mana up to 6 or more.
And the different ways of like enters attacks transforms, enters attacks dies, uh attacks or dies. At the beginning of your end step, if it entered or attacked this turn, attacks, blocks, dies, or becomes the target. Like each of these things, we saw a lot of different expressions of kind of a Titan form, in addition to here's a 6/6 for 6 that enters an attack.
Yeah, the attacks or dies. Yeah, the defender attacks trigger, always classic.
Yeah.
So that's the end of the December design challenge, but people are hungry for the new one. January's already started, Julia. What do we got for a challenge?
So our new January design challenge is Janus Two-Faced. Design a non-creature dual-faced card.
This is maybe either like a modal card, like, oh, I have a sorcery on one side and an instant on the other that are connected, or maybe like a transforming artifact or enchantment or something like that.
I tend to think of modal and transforming as the two big buckets to put DFCs in. Hypothetically, there's a third other thing, but more than likely, either of those, there's definitely precedent and other space to explore.
I guess if people have been into You Make the Pack lately, they have a lot of experience with non-creature double-faced cards.
Less than you would think.
Oh, is that
given,
right?
Yeah, we've really been trying to explore single space
discussion-wise.
battle spaces. Yeah.
Yeah, battles. Yeah, maybe this is the battle challenge. We'll get a bunch of battle cards.
Sure.
All right, but what are our bonus points?
We've got a pair of bonus points here. The first is War and Peace. The text of the card should contain the string equal to the number. And our other bonus point is Jack and Jill went up the hill. The submission is easy to read.
Uh-oh, it's the anti-Xena challenge. Or maybe it's an extra challenge on Xena. Have a wild card, but we can get it on the first try. It's a bonus point.
I think I worded that very carefully here. I think Xena's card today, easy to read. A lot of Xena's cards, easy to read. Easy to read is different from easy to parse every element of. But the card should be easy to read, because that will also that's a fun restriction for designing, and also helpful for us in reviewing twice as many cards as normal.
Yeah, this is helping us out. This is trying to give us the little bit of simplicity so we can
and what that means can absolutely vary up to the designer, and I'm excited to see what folks come up with. Those submissions are going to be due January 30th.
Sounds good. Yeah, I'm looking forward to these double-face cards. Maybe we do get a couple battles. I'm curious about it. But that'll be it for the podcast for this week. Hop on the Discord. That's where all the submission is. We'll be in Lorwyn season by the time this episode's up, so come on and talk through all the weird different card designs. What creature type are you hoping to see from Lorwyn Eclipsed?
Can I say, for Lorwyn, I originally coming up with this design was going to say hey, make a non-creature or make a DFC like these Lorwyn DFCs. And we've gotten a few Lorwyn DFCs. I don't know that they're really this absolute inspiration to do lots of designs from, but I am curious to see more from Lorwyn, and maybe talk more about Lorwyn on the pod. I'm always here for more marrow. I think the marrow on Merfolk are particularly compelling. So maybe here's one. Give me a creature Merfolk giant.
All right.
When the human spider hero, and it's just here's a human and a spider saving somebody. Give me a Merfolk and a giant working together for something. I think that could be the duos from Shadowmoor, but for
okay.
type rather than
some more duos. Yeah, I guess. So, do you have anything else you want to tell people about?
Check out everything in the Discord. We got a lot of fun stuff going on there. We've got You Make the Pack that will still be going on. You can check out all sorts of fun things in the Other Games and Design channel. We got fun streams and stuff in Spam and Whatnot. We got a lot of cool things going on in Beacon Constructed. it's all here on the Discord. So come check it out and be involved there.
All right. If you need to find either of us, Discord is the place to do that. And most of all, thanks everyone for listening.
This podcast enters and attacks and dies when the recording ends.